They sealed her fate with 5 words. Lock her away. She's nothing. The words followed her into the dark. She barely remembered the journey, only fragments. Cold stone, iron biting into her wrists, hands dragging her like a carcass through winding corridors that spiraled down and down into something that did not feel like part of the world anymore. The commander had looked at her once, not with hatred, worse, with disinterest. She wasn't worth anger, not worth fear, not even worth memory. To them, she was just human. Weak, breakable, disposable. Her wolf was buried too deep to be sensed, crushed under years of silence and survival. So they threw her into the pit without hesitation, and the darkness swallowed her whole. Down there, time died. The pit was not just absence of light, it lived. It pressed in on her lungs. It ate sound. It devoured thought until only instinct remained. She learned quickly. Where the wall wept water during the rains. Where the floor dipped from men who had paced themselves into madness. And where the stone near the door was just loose enough to sharpen. She had been sharpening it for 2 years. Not for escape. There was no escape. She sharpened it for the day the door would open, and someone other than a guard would walk in. On that day, someone would die. Where are you watching from right now? This is a powerful story of survival, pain, and how enemies turn to lovers when all you harbor was vengeance. Hit subscribe. We're pushing to 2,000 strong. Now, let's continue the story. Her name was Regina. She hadn't spoken it in 3 years. Names belonged to people who mattered. She had only darkness, hunger, silence, and the slow drip of water, counting down a life no one remembered. The door opened. Regina froze. This wasn't the usual rhythm. Not food, not guards changing. One set of footsteps. Heavy, armored, wrong. Then, a body crashed into the cell. The impact shook the ground. Dust rained from above. The smell hit her instantly. Blood. Not weak blood. Alpha blood. Rich, thick, powerful. Her wolf stirred. For the first time in 3 years, it woke up. The man groaned. Big, broad, built like war itself, armor torn, cloak soaked in blood. He tried to rise. Failed. Collapsed again. Torchlight spilled from the open doorway above, thin, golden, blinding. It caught his face, and Regina's breath stopped. She knew him. Not from meeting him, from hearing him, from the echoes of his voice above her prison, from glimpses of polished boots through the grate, from the way even silence bent around his presence. The king, the royal Lycan king, broken, bleeding, afraid. Her wolf surged, violent, starved, feral. It didn't see a king. It saw prey. Kill him. The thought was sharp, clean, certain. 3 years of darkness had led to this moment. A gift, delivered to her feet. Regina didn't move. Not yet. She had learned patience in the dark. The kill wasn't the strike. It was the moment before. The king shifted, gripping the deep wound at his side. Silver glinted faintly in the torn flesh. Poison. Someone had tried to kill him. Good. Let his own kind destroy him. Then his head snapped toward her. He smelled her. Regina's stomach dropped. Blood. Her blood. Just one drop from a bitten lip, but in the dead air of the pit, it bloomed like fire. Sweet. Sharp. Unmistakable. Mate. Impossible. His voice broke on the word. He pushed himself up, ignoring the damage, eyes scanning the darkness. Her wolf didn't hesitate. Kill him. Kill him now. But something else slipped into that command. Something wrong. Something traitorous. A pull. The bond snapped into place. Not gently. Violently. Like a chain hooking into her ribs and yanking. Regina choked on the force of it as her wolf slammed forward, awake, alive, claiming. The king's chest rumbled. His wolf answered, and then he started crawling toward her. Slow, bleeding, unstoppable. His hand reached into the shadows, toward her, toward his mate. No. The word tore from her throat. Her first in 3 years. Raw, broken, furious. He froze. He heard her. Regina raised her chained hands. Heavy iron links dragged across the floor. Strong enough. Still strong enough. To kill him. His fingers closed around her ankle, and Regina screamed. Not fear. Not pain. Something worse. The sound of a purpose shattering. The sound of vengeance dying. The sound of fate rewriting itself into something crueler. The king's blood-slick grip tightened around her ankle. The bond ignited between them, burning through bone, through blood, through everything she had buried, and the world caught fire. The guards found their king on his knees in the filth of the pit, one bloodied hand wrapped around the ankle of a creature they had forgotten existed. The scene made no sense. King Zephyr, the golden wolf, alpha of alphas, should have been in his chambers, surrounded by healers, recovering from the assassination attempt that had nearly ended him. Instead, he was here. A bleeding, broken, snarling at his own men. "Get back," he growled, voice rough with blood and fury. "Don't touch me. Don't." A guard reached for him. The king's arm snapped out. Crack. The man's head jerked sideways as he was thrown back into the others. The king's winter steel eyes blazed, feral, unstable, glowing faintly with silver. "The girl!" he snarled, his grip tightening around Regina's ankle, until bone pressed against bone. "Bring her. Now." The guards hesitated. They looked at her, at the wraith in chains, hollow, filthy, barely human. The pit rat. The nothing they had thrown away 3 years ago. But the king had spoken, and the king's word was law. They dragged her out. The light hit first. Not warmth, violence. It stabbed through her closed eyes, burning red and gold behind her lids. Regina flinched despite herself, a broken sound escaping before she crushed it between her teeth. Then came the noise. Voices, footsteps, metal, life. Too much. After 3 years of silence, it felt like drowning. Regina wanted the dark back, the quiet, the certainty. But the guards didn't slow. They dragged her through corridors she couldn't see, past shapes she couldn't focus on, until they stopped before massive carved doors. Silver handles, wolves etched into ancient wood. The king's chambers. One guard hesitated, young, afraid. "Are we certain? She's feral. The king isn't in his right mind. We should wait for the beta." "No," the older one cut in. "You want to tell him no right now?" The boy swallowed, opened the doors. The bath chamber was overwhelming. Steam curled through the air. Lavender clung to every breath. Silver and silk and candlelight reflected endlessly in polished mirrors. To luxury, too much of it. And in the center, the king. They had forced him onto a couch. It had cost them. One guard held a broken wrist, another bled from the head. The king barely breathed, but his eyes tracked her instantly. "The girl," he rasped. "Bring her." They shoved Regina forward. She stumbled, caught herself, looked up, and found him watching her. Close now, close enough to see the sweat on his skin, close enough to smell his blood beneath the lavender, close enough to kill him. Her wolf surged. "Now. Do it now. What in the name of the moon goddess is that?" The voice cut clean through everything. He entered like control made flesh. Tall, precise, dangerous in a quieter way. Amber eyes, calculating. Not raw power. Refined threat. He looked at Regina like she was rot. "She's nothing," he said. "A leftover from the northern cleansing. Bit 3 of my men before we threw her down there. I'm surprised she lived." His gaze shifted to the king. "My king, this is the silver poisoning. The wolf latches onto anything, any scent, any presence to survive. Send her back." Regina said nothing, but she memorized him. A beta. Dangerous. Controlled. Goddess preserve us. Another voice. Older. Sharper. The healer recoiled at the sight of her. "The pit rat. She's diseased. Filthy. You cannot possibly—" "Enough." The king didn't raise his voice. He didn't need to. Silence fell anyway. He pushed himself up. Blood soaked through fresh bandages. He ignored it. Looked only at her. "Come here." Regina didn't move. "I said come here." Still, she didn't move. A flicker of something crossed his face. Then he moved. Too fast for a wounded man. Too fast for any man. He crossed the distance in 2 strides and seized her arm. Firm. Unyielding. The world shattered. Regina arched. A sharp, broken sound tore from her throat as the bond ignited, violent, consuming, undeniable. Her wolf surged upward, alive and hungry, flooding her senses with heat and need, and something dangerously close to relief. The king inhaled sharply. His grip tightened. "Does this feel like a trick?" he asked quietly. No one answered. No one moved. The beta had gone still. The healer pale. The guards had stepped back. The king's gaze dragged over Regina, taking in everything. The scars. The chains. The hunger. Something flickered in his expression. Not pity. Something harder. "Clean her," he ordered. He released her. The loss of contact burned. "I want her bathed, clothed, and if anyone touches her without permission," his gaze sharpened, "I will remove that hand." He moved back but didn't lie down. He stayed near the door, watching. The servants approached carefully, like approaching something that might bite. They were right. The first touch came too fast. Too sudden. Regina reacted before thought. Her teeth sank into soft flesh. A cry. Blood. The servant stumbled back. Silence. Shock. Disgust from the beta. Regina said nothing. From the doorway, the king let out a low, exhausted sound. "Try again," he said. Slower. This time, they spoke. Soft. Careful. Every movement announced. Regina allowed it. Not trust. Never that. But the water was warm. The air smelled clean. And her wolf was quiet. She sank into the bath and watched the water turn black. They worked in silence. Again and again, until the water ran clear, and then she saw herself. A stranger stared back from the silver mirrors. Sharp bones, hollow eyes, skin stretched too thin. A survivor. A ghost. Nothing. Her gaze lifted, met his. He hadn't looked away. Not once. Something in his expression stilled her breath. Not disgust. Not pity. Certainty. Mate. Mine. She looked away first. When they finished, they wrapped her in silk. Soft. Clean. Wrong. The room emptied slowly, until only 3 remained. The king, the beta, and her. My king, the beta said carefully. This is unwise. The court is unstable. If you bring her into your chambers, I'm not claiming her, the king cut in. Not yet. A pause. But she stays. Silence. Tension. If I'm more than 50 feet from her, he added quietly, my wolf starts tearing through my chest. Another pause. And if I die, you'll have a succession crisis before sunrise. The beta's jaw tightened. Then he bowed and left. The door closed. Now they were alone. The king stepped toward her. Slowly. Controlled. Bleeding. I know you want me dead, he said. Her heart stuttered. I felt it, he continued, before the bond settled. A faint, humorless smile. It was refreshing. Regina said nothing. Everyone else wants something, he said. Power, favor, control. Another step closer. You just want my throat. Closer, still. I can work with that. Her gaze shifted. Not to him. Past him. The tapestry. The north. The forest. The banner. Shadow Fang Legion. Everything inside her went still. The king noticed. Tracked her gaze. You recognize it. Not a question. Silence. Something changed in his expression. Subtle. Sharp. He turned. Took a robe. It threw it to her. You stay here tonight. She caught it. Clutched it. Not because I want you, he added coldly. Because the bond won't let me walk away. And if I die... A pause. You follow. Silence stretched between them. Are you strong, pit girl? Regina said nothing. So help me, he said quietly. You will stay. He turned. Ev walked toward his chamber. Stopped at the threshold. Looked back. Welcome to the gilded cage. The door opened. Darkness beyond. Then he disappeared inside. Regina stood alone. Clean. Exposed. Uncertain. The bond pulsed in her chest. Alive. Relentless. She could still kill him. Tonight. Easily. But the bond would fight her. And worse. She wasn't sure she wanted to win. The robe slipped from her fingers, and like a shadow, she followed him into the dark. Dawn came to the royal fortress, like a blade slipping between ribs, slow, cold, and impossible to ignore. Regina had not slept. She spent the night perched on the edge of a velvet chair in the corner of the king's bedchamber, her knees drawn up to her chest, her hollow eyes fixed on the massive 4-poster bed where the golden wolf lay tangled in blood-stained sheets. She watched him breathe, counted every rise and fall of his chest, listened to the low, pained sounds that slipped from his lips as the silver poisoning worked through him. And all night, she thought about killing him. The thought never left her. It sat with her like an old companion. Easy, familiar, possible. He was weak, vulnerable, alone. The guards had been dismissed. The beta was gone. The physician had long since retreated. It was just him and her. She could have done it. Wrapped her hands around his throat, taken the silver candlestick from the bedside. I pressed a silk pillow over his face. Ended it. Ended everything. But every time she rose, every time she took even a single step toward the bed, the bond snapped tight. Not gently, violently, like a chain hooked into her ribs, yanking her back. Her wolf would stir, then resist, whining, pressing, refusing to let her move forward. Mate. Mine. Protect. Regina hated her for it. Hated the king. Hated the moon goddess most of all for binding her to him like this. But sometime during the long hours before dawn, something shifted. She stopped wanting him to die. Not because she had forgiven him. Never that. The hatred was still there, burning cold and steady. But it wasn't simple anymore. It had changed, twisted into something heavier, more dangerous. Something that felt uncomfortably close to concern. When the first pale light slipped through the narrow window, the king's eyes opened. He found her immediately. His gaze swept the room in a single, precise motion, checking shadows, exits, threats before settling on her. And staying there. You stayed, he said. His voice was rough, worn thin by pain and exhaustion. Regina didn't respond. She simply watched him. A faint smile touched his lips. I wasn't sure you would, he admitted. I half expected to wake up with your hands around my throat. She had, more times than she could count. Why didn't you? He asked. Silence. He waited, not impatiently, but with the still, measured patience of a predator. When she gave him nothing, he moved. He pushed himself up, the motion costing him more than he showed. Pain tightened his jaw, but he didn't stop. He swung his legs over the side of the bed and stood. Then he walked toward her, barefoot, silent, controlled. He stopped just in front of her chair. Up close, he was overwhelming, even weakened, even pale. Power radiated from him, pressing into the space between them. You're coming with me today, he said. Not a request. There's a council meeting. They'll be circling after last night, looking for answers, looking for weakness. His gaze hardened slightly. And they'll want to see you. Her wolf stirred uneasily. Danger. The bond can't be hidden, he continued. Half the castle felt it. The rest have heard by now. If I keep you hidden, they'll think you're a weakness. He leaned down slightly, bringing his face closer to hers. You're not a weakness, are you, pit girl? Regina held his gaze. Her throat was dry, raw. No, she whispered. The word came out rough, but steady. The king smiled. Oh, sharp, satisfied. Good, he said. Then let's go feed you to the vipers. The great hall was a monument to power. Massive stone pillars carved with snarling wolves rose toward a vaulted ceiling. Tapestries lined the walls. Wars won, territories conquered, enemies crushed beneath the golden wolf's rule. At the far end stood the throne, obsidian, veined with silver, watching over everything. The court fell silent the moment the doors opened. Regina walked beside the king. Not behind him, not ahead. Beside him. It was deliberate, and the court understood exactly what it meant. Eyes turned, dozens of them, measuring, judging, calculating. She felt every stare, She was clean now, scrubbed raw, her hair cut short and uneven, her body wrapped in a simple grey dress that hung loosely from her starved frame. Her feet were bare. The scars on her wrists remained. She still looked like nothing. And yet, she walked at the king's side. The whispers began. Soft, sharp. The pit rat. She looks half dead. That can't be his mate. She's nothing. Regina heard all of it. She remembered all of it. Faces, voices, positions. The pit had taught her how to listen, how to survive. She would not forget any of them. The king took his throne. Regina stood beside him. No seat was offered. No title spoken. Only presence. The court assembled. Masks of loyalty firmly in place. Regina studied them carefully. Lady Maris stood out first, beautiful, poised, her smile elegant and cold. She watched Regina with open curiosity, as if she were something new to be examined. The high priestess was different, older, still, watching too closely. Her eyes lingered on Regina with unsettling intensity. Then Thorn. At the center, still, controlled, wearing the black and silver of the Shadow Fang Legion. Regina's world narrowed. He looked at her, paused, and something flickered in his eyes. Recognition. Gone almost instantly. The assassination attempt, the king said, cutting through the tension. What do we know? Thorn answered. Calm, measured. A lone wolf, my king. But Regina wasn't listening. She was watching. His hands, clasped behind his back. Still, except for one small movement. A thumb brushing against his palm. And the ring. Silver. To heavy. Her blood went cold. She knew that ring. Fire. A smoke. Screams. A hand in her hair. A voice. Lock this one away. She's nothing. It was him. The realization hit like a blow. He stood there, lying, wearing the same ring, looking at her, like she didn't exist. Regina laughed. The sound tore out of her before she could stop it. Dry, broken, wrong. The entire hall fell silent. The king's hand clamped around her wrist. Something amusing, little wraith, he growled. Her laughter stopped. She looked at him, then at Thorn, and spoke. The blood on his hands, she rasped. You're blind if you can't smell it. Chaos erupted. Voices rose. Shock, outrage, disbelief. But Thorn didn't move. You dare, he said softly. The court turned against her instantly. Punish her. Send her back. She's nothing. The noise surged. But Regina didn't move, didn't flinch. The king stood, and silence slammed down. Instant. Absolute. He descended the dais slowly, walked past Thorn, and stopped beside her. His hand settled at the back of her neck, firm, claiming. The bond flared between them. Visible, undeniable. She is not nothing, he said quietly. She is the king's mate. The words hit the room like a strike. And she smells lies better than all of you. His grip tightened slightly. A warning. To anyone who needs one. Thorn, he continued, his winter steel eyes never leaving the older man's face. You are hereby relieved of your command. You will surrender your weapons and your signet ring to the captain of the guard. You will remain confined to your quarters until I decide what to do with you. If you attempt to leave the fortress, if you attempt to communicate with anyone outside your household, if you so much as breathe in a way I find suspicious. He paused, letting the threat hang in the air. I will take it as an admission of guilt and I will respond accordingly. Thorn's frozen mud eyes flickered. For just a moment, the mask slipped, and Regina saw what lurked beneath. Rage. Cold, calculating, murderous rage. Then the mask was back, and Thorn was bowing a stiff, formal bow that cost him every ounce of his pride. "As my king commands," he said, his voice flat and empty. A Thorn bowed. But Regina saw it, the rage beneath the surface, waiting. Back to the chamber. The chamber doors closed behind them. Silence returned. The king turned to her. "You remember him," he said. Not a question. She didn't answer. He stepped closer. Slowly, giving her space to retreat. She didn't. His hand lifted, tilted her chin upward. The touch sent a quiet ripple through the bond. "Use me," he said. Her breath caught. "Use my name, my power, my army." A pause. "Tell me what he did." His thumb brushed her lip. "I'll give you your vengeance with my blessings." She didn't answer. Not directly. Instead, she leaned in. Close. Dangerously close. Her lips brushed his ear. "Prove you didn't order Emberwood burned," she whispered. His body went still. "I prove you didn't send them." She pulled back. "Maybe then," she added softly, "I won't want to kill you every time you touch me." The king looked like she had slapped him. His winter steel eyes were wide, his jaw slack, his entire body frozen in a moment of absolute, devastating shock. He had not known. She could see it in his face, the dawning horror, the sick realization, the pieces of a puzzle he had not known existed clicking into place. "Emberwood," he breathed. "The northern village. The one that was burned to ash." Regina finished, her voice flat and cold. "Every man, every woman, every child," while the banner of the Golden Wolf snapped in the wind above their heads. She turned away from him and walked toward the window, a narrow slit in the stone that looked out over the fortress walls and the dark forest beyond. "I was 15 years old," she said, her back to him. "I watched my mother die. I heard my pack scream as they burned. And when it was over, when there was nothing left but ash and silence, your Lord Commander looked at me and said," she paused, her voice catching, "Lock this one away. She's nothing." The king made a sound behind her, a low, wounded noise that might have been a growl or might have been a sob. She did not turn to look at him. "So prove it," she said, her ruined voice barely above a whisper. "Prove you didn't know. Prove you're not the monster I've been waiting to kill. Prove that the bond between us isn't the cruelest joke the moon goddess has ever played." She turned to face him. His face was ashen. His hands were trembling. His winter steel eyes were bright with something that looked terrifyingly like tears. "I didn't know," he said, his voice cracking. "I swear to you, on my mother's grave, on my father's crown, on everything I am and everything I will ever be, I didn't know." Regina stared at him. And for the first time in 3 years, she did not know what to believe. For a long, heavy moment, neither of them moved. Regina stood by the narrow window, pale morning light cutting across her hollow face. The king stood a few feet away, his hands trembling, his winter steel eyes fixed on her like she had just shattered something inside him. Between them, the bond pulsed tight, strained, alive with everything she had just said. "I didn't know." His voice broke on the words. Regina's chest tightened. She wanted to believe him. That was the problem. After 3 years in the dark, belief felt dangerous. Hope felt worse. But his eyes, raw, unguarded, almost broken, did not look like a liar's. He looked like a man realizing he had been turned into a weapon. "I didn't know," he said again, slower this time, forcing the words out. Emberwood. I remember the report. It came across my desk. They said the village was harboring a witch, a threat. Regina's fingers curled at her sides. A witch? She repeated, her voice low and flat. My mother healed children. She sang them to sleep. Her jaw tightened. She was not a witch. The king went still. The report said. It lied. Silence crashed between them. This time, he didn't argue. He turned sharply and strode to his desk. Regina watched as he tore through drawers, no hesitation now, no control. Just urgency. Just anger. The iron chest beneath the desk opened with a sharp click. He dragged out the war logs, leather-bound, marked with the royal seal, the same seal that had burned her world. Regina's wolf stirred, restless, alert. The king flipped through pages, faster and faster. His breathing grew uneven. His fingers tightened against the parchment. Minutes stretched. Then he froze. Completely. Goddess, he whispered. Regina stepped closer. She didn't need to read it yet. She could see the truth on his face. What does it say? She asked. He didn't answer immediately. Slowly, he handed her the book. Read it, he said. His voice sounded hollow. See what they did in my name. Her hands shook as she took it. Her eyes found the entry. And everything inside her went cold. Unauthorized skirmish. Rogue witch. Swift. Action. Village burned. Disposed of. Her vision blurred. Disposed of. Like she was nothing. Like her family had been nothing. The book trembled in her grip. They used your name, she said quietly. They made you part of it, and you didn't even know. The king dragged a hand over his face. I was 22, he said. His voice was rough now. My father had just died. The council was breathing down my neck. I needed to prove I was strong. His jaw clenched. Thorn brought me reports. I trusted him. His voice cracked. I trusted him, and he turned it into slaughter. Regina stared at him. The hatred inside her didn't disappear, but it shifted. It changed shape. It found a new target. Thorn. The man with the scar. The ring. The voice that had called her nothing. The real monster. Her chest felt too tight. She needed air. She moved toward the balcony doors. Her fingers reached the lock. Then she froze. Her wolf surged. Not anger. Warning. Regina stilled, listening. Then she saw it. A shadow beneath the door. Low. Still. Wrong. A thin stream of green smoke slipped through the crack. Poison. Her body moved before her mind caught up. She ripped the heavy velvet drapes from the wall and shoved them against the base of the door, sealing the gap. Then she turned. Zephyr. The name tore out of her throat. Raw. Urgent. The king burst into the room. His eyes took in everything in a single glance. The smoke. The door. Her. He moved instantly. His hand grabbed her arm and yanked her back. The door exploded. Wood splintered. Iron tore free. Green smoke burst into the room. Regina hit the ground hard, but not alone. The king's body crashed over hers, shielding her. His arms wrapped around her, pulling her tight against him as debris rained down. The impact knocked the air from her lungs, but all she could feel was him. Warm, solid, protecting. Her wolf surged. Mate. Protect. Regina clenched her teeth. He was coughing now. Hard. Violent. His body shook with it. Still, he didn't move off her, didn't let her go. He kept himself between her and the poison. When she looked up at him, her breath caught. He was afraid. Not for himself. For her. "You saved me," he rasped. Regina frowned, her voice sharp. "I saved myself. You just happened to be there." Silence. Then he laughed. Rough, breathless, disbelieving. "Liar," he said quietly. "I felt it. You were afraid. For me." She opened her mouth to argue. Nothing came out. Because it was true. Her wolf had screamed. Not for herself. For him. The realization hit harder than the explosion. His hand lifted slowly, carefully. He brushed the tangled hair from her face. Regina didn't pull away. Didn't bite. Didn't fight. His thumb traced her cheek, then her lip. Her wolf leaned into the touch. Mate. Safe. Regina shut her eyes for a second. "I didn't know," he whispered again. "I was young, blind. I trusted the wrong men." His gaze hardened. "But I will fix it." There was no hesitation now. "I will tear Thorn down. I will destroy everything he built." His voice dropped, dark and certain. "And I will give you your revenge." Regina looked at him. Hatred still lived inside her. But now, it wasn't alone. "Then don't hide me," she said. Her voice was stronger this time. "Give me a weapon." She stepped closer. "Let me stand beside you when he falls. Not behind. Not beneath. Beside." The king stared at her. Then slowly he smiled. Not cold. Not royal. Alive. "Deal," he said.